Welcome back to The Rollup. I'm Robbie.
I'm Andy. Robbie and I met at the University of Florida in 2017, where we first found out about digital assets.
We learned a lot along the way, and we're bringing you face to face with the leaders of our industry.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy today's episode.
Hey, Robbie.
Hey, GM.
Yeah.
Good to see you. We still say GM?
A long time ago, I and some people were trying to extend the innovation of GM and turn it into, because we were going GM, GA, GN, etc. And so I started doing GX, where X is a variable that can stand for anything. And so we're trying to get it to catch on globally, and we're still working on it. So GX.
I like it. GX. The X can be anything you want. Well, I think that's a good context because we have been engaging and entering the institutional era of Ethereum. Some are calling it, which has been 500 years in the making based on what we were talking about backstage. And one of the things that I find myself as, we have more interviews and podcasts and talk to more people that are kind of at the bridge of the space is speaking their language, meeting them where they are. I find myself, I have to restrict myself from saying GM. I have to speak their language. You've been in the space, you've talked to people on kind of both sides of this world. Do you think we should kind of change who we are, and some of the language and the terminology that we have when we address, these larger capital allocators and businesses, and as we introduce them to Ethereum and DeFi, how much should we introduce them to the culture versus just, taking the vibes out of the technology?
So I think it's always valuable and important to understand who you're speaking to, what their mental models might be of the world, and to do your best to communicate in terms that are more effective for them to understand what you're trying to communicate. That said, when we talk to different kinds of financial institutions, and we're doing that quite a lot, they're really smart, they're really savvy. A lot of them have been doing the work for the last 10 plus years to understand our technology and our ecosystem. I wouldn't walk into a meeting and say GM or GX, but in terms of talking about the intricate details of our technology, we can go there, and that there are good reasons why they're paying a huge amount of attention to what we're doing.
Absolutely, and this has been a long time in the making. You mentioned backstage 500 years this has been in the making. I'm curious why now? Ethereum's been around a long time now. It's resilient. There's applications that have billions of dollars. We have DeFi protocols that are among the largest banks in the world. We have these institutions that are now starting to take this seriously. What happened over the last 500 years that has gotten to a point where the largest financial institutions in the world are now deploying on-chain?
So I like to think of what we've been doing in our ecosystem as both revolutionary and evolutionary. So we essentially, with Bitcoin and Ethereum and the growing metropolitan Ethereum ecosystem and other protocols that are trying to do similar things, we've been speedrunning the last 500 years of innovation in traditional finance. And so some of those things include just how do we form pools of capital, bigger pools of capital, so that we can share risk and do much bigger things. So joint stock corporations and bonds, nation states issuing bonds to do really big infrastructural things. And so that category is like, how do you do big things, how do you coordinate things, and how do you ensure that the claims that people have are respected or trusted, and how do you make them more efficient to trade and things like that. And there are other innovations, like so many, wiring funds. Western Union pioneered that, and trade finance mechanisms, bills of lading, and you can go all the way to innovations in options and ATMs and stuff like that. And so these fall into categories. Scaling trust is a category that's really important. So far, we've only been able to scale centralized trust in the world. Pricing risk, sharing risk, settlement, fast dissemination of information, and all those things are things that we've been doing an incredible job on in our ecosystem. So why now? We're at the end of a super cycle, and there's been a loss of trust in centralized institutions. The world has been, society has been built on institutional trust, and institutional trust has been lost in the last few decades. So we're at the end of this super cycle. The world is cracking up in different ways, and along comes Satoshi Nakamoto and invents this most profound new form of trust, decentralized trust, and a lot of people say, wow, we're engineers, we can take this new form of decentralized trust, which Satoshi showed us how to operationalize in Bitcoin, and we can apply it to all the systems of the world. And so we built this new foundational trust platform. Ethereum makes it available to all sorts of software engineers. We've been building DeFi to build really efficient, effective financial rails for the decentralized emerging global economy. And now we've scaled it. We've made it affordable, usable. The United States of America was trying to make it illegal for a while under the previous administration, but now it's getting more and more legal. And now organizations, enterprises, financial institutions can tokenize instruments. The stablecoin phenomenon is going big. Tokenized deposits. Companies can make use of DeFi, and so the technology is now scalable and usable enough, and we're getting essentially gale force wins in our sales from regulators and legislators in the United States, and that's going to be great. It's going to be great for people. This ecosystem, this technology is all about empowering people and communities. It's all about making sure that people and organizations have economic, social, political, financial agency in their lives. So we need decentralized trust, we need decentralized rails. Decentralization enables censorship resistance, enables credible neutrality of platforms so that you can't get deplatformed. I guess the final piece is self-custody of your assets. And so if we can land all that, and if we can do it in our own ecosystem, which has gone really well for 10 plus years, and if we can now do it from inside the existing bigger financial ecosystem, because they really do appreciate our technology, then I think we will have achieved what many of us early in the Ethereum ecosystem wanted to achieve, which was to enable decentralized trust to permeate the whole world.
Which is incredibly relevant and important given that we are at the end of a trust super cycle, as you mentioned. So now looking ahead, one chapter closes, the next one opens. The beginning of a new super cycle is this one with decentralized trust. And as we're looking at onboarding lots of these institutions, there's people that have been around in the community in Ethereum for a long time. I think some people are very excited, but there's a subset of the people that, are maybe disillusioned by prices, could be fueling, some of the negativity, but also maybe something that we could call institutional derangement syndrome. Like they're not happy that, the institutions managing billions and trillions are looking at blockchain. They say, get your permissioned assets, with your qualified custodians out of my self-custody infinite garden. These institutions, they love programmability, they love transparent risk modeling, they can be a lot more efficient, they can be composable, but they don't have to trust one another. All of that is great, but they can do all of that without decentralization. I'm curious why decentralization is so important, and is the current institutional meta sufficient, or ultimately is this a stepping stone to a place that incorporates all of the ideals as well as the institutional pragmatism?
So I guess you have to look at who's actually disappointed or disillusioned with how things are going in our ecosystem. I've never been more bullish, and we continue to grow our ecosystem. If you blur your eyes, it's basically this this pretty rapid exponential, and it's very volatile. It's volatile because excuse me, the global economy is cracking up, and it's really volatile, and we're the tail on the global economy dog, and so we're going to be even more volatile. As our technology matures, and as as our tokens get more and more valuable, it's going to be harder to move them around. As with any financial ecosystem, I think things were really crazy with the degens in the 1500s and the 1600s, where they were trading shares of things in I don't know, different houses of imbibing alcohol and smoking pipes or whatever they did back then. And all these innovations came along and brought more trust and more structure and more standardization to those situations. And so we sped run all of that stuff. And so we were building our technology ecosystem on live monetary rails, and that's never been done before. And so globally accessible, wicked information asymmetries, and so there are a lot of good actors who are just trying to do, quote, the right things and build useful infrastructure for people and organizations and communities, but there are always people and groups that come in and see an innovation and try to copy it and do a bad job on it, or do some sort of corrupt looking thing. The core people in our industry think of decentralization as a design principle. Others in our industry have thought about decentralization as a marketing term, and have not been rigorous about how to build out the ecosystem. So we're essentially a startup economy, and startup economies take a while to, much longer than a startup company, to find product market fit, or I don't know, economy market fit, or something like that. I don't know how to express that. But things have gone incredibly well, and we have found essentially economy market fit at this point, and part of that will really go mainstream, is going mainstream as we build it into more and more systems in the world.
Yeah. And decentralization as a design principle is still very early. It's still very bullish. Decentralization as a virtue signaling marketing term, not so much. But pragmatic decentralization is still certainly here and important.
Looking for yield that stands out? infiniFi gives you just that. Deposit stablecoins and earn far more than the current savings rate. infiniFi is a battle-tested, reliable DeFi platform that is ready to go. Head to infinifi.xyz.
Go anywhere on-chain instantly with Relay.link. Relay is closing in on $10 billion transferred. Go to Relay.link to bridge your assets now.
And so now looking ahead, with the institutional adoption of some of the greatest capital allocators with the most resources at their disposal, right? They're tokenizing every asset. This is bringing a much more expressive, robust economy of tokens that are all coming on chain, all of these becoming composable with one another. Now we have regulation to support and bolster what a thriving ecosystem on chain looks like when you have a lot of these assets all mixed in on the same chains. Looking ahead to the future, how do we navigate what this structure, this market structure could look like when we have regulated financial products right next to Beyonce tickets. Like, how do we structure these things so that we don't mix anything that shouldn't be mixed, but we still have an open and composable world that we can transact on?
Yeah, so I agree with you that there is some virtue signaling in some projects, but a different interpretation of that is that there are different degrees of decentralization that are necessary and effective at different layers of the economy or of systems. And so at the base layer, we need rigorous decentralization. We need to define all the dimensions of decentralization, whether it's power grid, legal systems, data centers, protocols, number of clients, et cetera. And the reason why I and many people believe that Ethereum Layer 1 and the Metropolitan Ethereum ecosystem has already won and is going to grow dramatically is because Bitcoin was built at a special point in time. You can't do that again. Ethereum was also built at a special moment in time in which we had the best talent, the focus on rigorous decentralization, and we could spend essentially 10 years building layers and layers of enabling technology and scalability while focusing on doing the hard thing, which is maintaining rigorous decentralization. And there are always pockets of centralization that pop up, and we need to address those and build protocols to reduce the centralization. As the world builds on this rigorously decentralized layer, there's nothing wrong with having sufficiently decentralized consortium systems, sufficiently decentralized DeFi niches. I agree that with Vitalik that we should have some layer 2s that accomplish stage 1, stage 2. We should also have some layer 2s that build a lot of different kinds of database constructs. The Web 2 has SQL, NoSQL, vector, graph, object, so many different kinds of databases for different purposes. And in the Web 3 economy, we're going to need most of these databases to speak token because companies' assets will be tokenized and they'll need to connect to layer 2s and layer 1s, et cetera, to be part of the economy. So I think we're moving into a world where there'll be hundreds of thousands or millions of corpo blockchains where you put your smart contract applications and you invite your partners and your users onto your chain. And so virtue signaling may be a first stage in moving to sufficient decentralization.
Hibachi is fast and private perps trading, secured by ZK with Celestia underneath. Go to hibachi.xyz to start trading today.
I just have quickly two more questions. First is, given this Trust Supercycle coming to a close and this next Supercycle opening, how should we prepare ourselves for this next Supercycle? Maybe you can just illustrate what this next Supercycle is as a result of this Trust Supercycle coming to a close and how we should prepare for it.
Yeah, so I can do it through what we're building in the form of MetaMask. So MetaMask was a tool for asserting your digital authority in Web3, for enabling you to maintain self-custody and control of your assets. MetaMask evolved into being a wallet and portfolio management, and MetaMask is now it's becoming a personal money operating system. It's a new kind of neobank that you fully own and control. The next super cycle is going to be all about decentralized rails. Web3 is going to be user-centric rather than Web 2 being corporation-centric, where you're the product and you're exploited and et cetera, et cetera. Under Web3, we're going to be enormously empowered by AI. So we're going to be able to level ourselves up in real time. We're going to have our own digital twins that we're bonded with that help us understand things rapidly and help engage, help set up swarms of open claw personas with different kinds of skills, et cetera. We'll see it's moving really fast. it is about essentially taking control of our lives and operating through this infrastructure and through essentially your own financial system and your own, I guess, persona cognition system that I'm already a hybrid human-machine intelligence with my phone and my laptop, et cetera. And so I look forward to expanding my hybridization, and I look forward to us all the humans and all the machine intelligences essentially hybridizing into a global organism that is pretty aligned as much as we can with what's going on around us.
It's happening. The last question, which I didn't originally have on my list here, but we saw Hester Peirce, SEC commissioner, backstage, and she wanted me to ask you what the SEC is doing wrong. And so obviously they've done a lot of great work. They've done, the SEC and the CFTC has been very active, much more so than the last administration. A lot of good work, but she's curious. What is the SEC doing wrong?
I take that question as a statement of the openness and the constructiveness of this new SEC. I love this new SEC. Paul Atkins, Hester, et cetera, are doing such important things for the United States and for the world. I guess we could ask what legislators are doing wrong, potentially. Some of them are blowing those gale force winds in our sails, and some of them are a little more resistant. And so we're still dealing with progressive elements of the Democratic Party that believe really big government and rigorous granular control over all aspects of human life is the right way to go. I disagree with that. I think we can build a decentralized AI saturated global economy that self-polices itself. And there's still big banks that are sort of trying to retain some of the unfair advantages that they currently have in the current system. It's all moving pretty well right now. And so the big banks should be trying to protect their advantages, but they're also ready to take advantage of the opportunities in our ecosystem. So I think it's going to move fast and well.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe Lubin, for your time and your contributions to Ethereum. Appreciate it.